Hello and welcome back to the tutorial series for the Lonely Mountain Snow Riders level editor. In this video, I will introduce checkpoints and the in-editor play mode. First, let's go over the checkpoints. In our tools window, we can go to our last set of tools, the trail interaction tools. The very first one, as soon as we click on trail interactions, are the checkpoints. Now that we have our checkpoints tool selected, the default checkpoints of our trail are being highlighted with light blue. Per default, you will always have 2 checkpoints on your initial chunks. However, since we have modified our terrain, they are now just floating in the air. Let's try adding a new checkpoint where you would expect to actually begin. We can do that by either pressing the Add Checkpoint button or go directly to the viewport and hold left click and drag our checkpoint into the direction we want it to be facing, like this. We can edit our checkpoint in the same way we were editing the splines in the previous episode, using our either movement or rotation gizmos. If we zoom in, we can move our checkpoint a bit, maybe also move it up a bit so we can see the white line, and maybe we can rotate it a bit so our white line is a bit tilted and over the terrain. We can also press G or H to switch between rotating based on the global position or the local position. Global position is the default, but right now it would be more convenient for me to rotate around my local position, so I will press H. And I will rotate around the Z axis. I will again take it up a bit. For checkpoints, we can also use the scaling gizmo. That we do by pressing R. Even though we have gizmos that increase the size in all 3 directions, checkpoints can actually just be scaled on the X-axis. This will increase the size of our checkpoint line. If you make it too small, our riders will make 2 rows instead of 1 long row. We can also decide to edit the checkpoints collider independently. If we go here to the left where it says Edit Collider and we click this tick, we can edit the collider to either go higher or wider. Making it taller may help you catch players that are flying over it if the checkpoint is right after a jump. If you make it wider, be careful. It may be confusing that you're activating the checkpoint even though you're not touching the white line. We can also edit our riders' respawn points independent from the checkpoint. If we go all the way to the bottom and press this tick next to Edit Respawn Points. That way we can make it so our riders don't necessarily respawn right at the checkpoint line. We can move them around a bit. The riders will instantly snap to the ground wherever you place them. This is how we make it so riders spawn somewhere else other than the finish line when you are at the finish area of every level. I want to undo that, however, since this will act as the starting line of this level. If we go back and click this cross, we will go back to our normal checkpoint editing mode. Finally, the last thing that we can edit from our checkpoint is the text position. This is the timer that shows right on top of the checkpoint, so you can see what your current time in the section is. Right now, it seems like it's inverted, so I will click this tick on text inverted, so it's actually facing towards me. As you can see, when we created our checkpoint, it was automatically linked to the other 2 checkpoints. However, I don't actually want to keep my 2 default checkpoints, since, well, they're just floating in the air. We can delete them by clicking on their name on the checkpoint list, or clicking on its yellow dot, and then pressing delete. Alternatively, as with splines, we can just click the trash icon and it will also be gone. Since I now have one single lone checkpoint, this will not work as a trail. However, as soon as we add a new checkpoint, let's say here, it will automatically connect it, and the first checkpoint of my chain will automatically be assigned as the start. But let's say I wanted to have a checkpoint before my initial checkpoint. Well, I can click to make a checkpoint here, but that would just make it the 3rd checkpoint of my chain, even though I want it to be the first one. For that, we need to cut its connection. We can just click on the connecting line and the connection will be gone. This checkpoint now does not form part of my trail. Now, if I click on the orange dot and drag it to the yellow dot of my original checkpoint, it will connect, and since now it is the first checkpoint of my chain, it was automatically assigned as my starting line. If we delete it, the starting line will be reassigned to the first checkpoint of the chain. Now let's add one last checkpoint on the end of our trail so we can test it. We can also rename our checkpoints by pressing the brush icon next to their names. This is technically not my checkpoint 3 anymore, this is my starting line. The one below is my first checkpoint now. And the last one is my finish line. You don't actually have to change the name of your checkpoints, it just helps with organization. I also noticed that my 2 new checkpoints are sunk in the snow a bit. Let's lift them up. Let's just pull it a bit from the y-axis so the white line is over the snow in both cases. And now that I'm happy with how it's looking, let's go into the play mode. If we look at the top middle UI of our editor, we will see the play mode settings. The one that says random will assign our ski gear. We can choose any of the ski gears from the game or choose random and we will get one randomly assigned. Let's say I want to test with Viper. The next drop down is the game mode. We can choose if we want to have the configuration for time trials, tricks, free ride or zen mode. If you choose either free ride or zen mode, you will not see your in-between checkpoints when you go into play mode, since that's how those 2 modes work. I will leave this on time trials. And then we can change our camera mode. Fixed direction is the classic Lonely Mountains camera. And behind player is the new camera mode that follows right behind the player. I will leave it as fixed direction. Finally, with that set up, we can press the play button and we will go into our own level. This is the moment when you can pick up a gamepad if that's your preferred way to play. And just like that, we will play our level as with any other, going down our hill on skis. And that was our level. We can click the stop button in the top to go back to the editor. Imagine you unleash your whole creativity and create massive trails. Well, you would think that every time you want to test them, you have to do so from the beginning. Fortunately, that is not the case. If we click on this flag icon, we will go into the temporary checkpoint mode. If we do so, we can look for a spot, any spot in our trail that we would like to start from. Let's say, for example, here. And if I hold right mouse button and drag it, I will create a temporary checkpoint. Now, if I press play, I will start from that temporary checkpoint instead of starting from the starting line. As you can see. Let's go back. If you would like to start from the starting line again, you just have to click the flag again and you will leave the temporary checkpoint mode. Now we would start again from the starting line if we press play. Now you know how to playtest your levels. And that would be our wrap up for this episode. In the next episode we will learn about snow, ice and terrain painting. Thanks for watching and see you then.